Welcome to Move, Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. Welcome back to our next episode of Move, Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. And I want to spend some time talking about an interesting topic. First, let me tell you a story. Have you ever tried pushing a stalled car? Yes, I have. Oh, when I was in college, I had an old Volkswagen Bug. You know, one of those red cars? Yeah. A friend of ours, my roommate and I, as a matter of fact, my roommate, myself, my cousin, it was three of us, and we had a friend who was finishing college, and he sold, gave, whatever it was, the car to us, and we should have known there was something funky about this car because it really didn't cost us much to get it. And so I'll tell you, the car took us through several years of college, but it had so many problems. It was, of course, a stick. And so at one time, we're going down the driveway. In order to keep the car going, you have to have your foot on the clutch and on the gas, and you have to press them at the same time. We call that cornering it. That's right. And it was funny because this car gave us a lot of trouble. And if you've ever been in the case where you're pushing a car, you know that to get it going takes a lot of effort. You got to push and push and push. You got to overcome that inertia. You got to overcome any obstacles that are there. But once you get that thing going, right, it's not the pushing anymore that keeps it going, it's the momentum that you have. And so just like that car, just like, having a boulder coming down the hill, it is once we get over that initial start, it's the momentum that keeps us going and the momentum that takes us across the finish line. And so the question for a lot of us is not one of starting, because we start all the time. We start saving money. We start a new career. We start a new class. We start a new relationship. We start a new diet. Oh yeah. But it is the finishing part that gets us. And the finishing, we think that finishing happens when we continue pushing as hard and as strong as we were before. And there is something to be said about continuing to put in the energy and continuing to put in all that power that's needed. But momentum is so important. And so the question is, how do we keep that momentum? How do we keep that going so that we're able to get across that line? Because after all, starting is great. We love to start. Yeah, that's good. Because if you don't start, you can't finish. But if we don't finish, if we don't get across that line, then we have spent a lot of energy, we've spent a lot of time, a lot of resources, and may not have achieved all that we want to achieve. And so I want to talk about three different things. Number one is the decision to start. This is a good one. Whenever I talk to people about where they are in their life and in their space, you guys know I'm looking for three things. I'm looking for rhythm, alignment, and structure. And the rhythm really is the impetus for the starting. Recently I was helping my son. We were talking about how to make decisions. And we were teaching him a kind of a structured process to go through. And the very first part of this is to identify the problem. What are we trying to solve? What is the problem that exists? Because if there's not a problem that exists, if there's not a decision to be made, if there's not an issue that we're trying to resolve, if there's not a place that we're trying to go or some change that we're trying to make, then there's no reason for us to be in this process making a decision. That could be even trying to improve yourself. Okay? So what is the thing? And so the very first thing is the decision that you're making. Why are you making this decision? What is the problem? What is the thing that is causing you to even venture along this road? Right? That is going to be an important part in maintaining momentum. Because if you are on the path, if you are eating well, if you are exercising, if you're walking, if you're doing strength training, if you are, whatever it is, if you're saving even, if the reason for it is not clear, and if the reason is not strong, if the reason seems to be insignificant, then momentum will wane. So the start, making that decision to start and understanding why we're starting, understanding where we're heading, understanding what we're doing is important. So right now I'm out, has become one of my favorite places to walk, and you guys will recall this from some of our previous series. And all around me, there are buildings that have gone up, and even since we filmed our last episode in this area, there have been so many changes. The reason for that is that they are building this area up. The reason for that is that we have lots of new people that are coming to the city. The reason for that is that we are growing. In fact, we are one of the fastest growing cities in the United States right now. And so there are reasons behind it. That's number one. So you got to have a reason. What is your why? Number two, start small. Oh, it's so easy to want that car to take off, zoom, down the road when you start pushing, right? But that's not how things go. That's not how things work. And so starting small allows you to pick up, to learn, to process, to refine. It allows you to reevaluate. Maybe you need to hold it a different way. Back to that car idea. I remember, when we had to make some decisions about the car. And at one time we lived in the apartment where we lived was actually going down into the complex. And so because the car didn't have good brakes, we did not want to back up because we could not back up up that hill. And so what we do, he would kind of go down and then turn around so that we're facing the other direction. And there were a couple of times that that backfired because we had to push up that hill because there was no momentum. Well, it wasn't easy to do. And so we had to refine. We had to change what we do. We had to change the process. We had to change the angle. We had to change how we held it. And the same thing happens in our lives. The same thing happens on our health journey. And so in addition to having that idea of why we're doing this, we also want to start small. We want to start with sustainable, easily accessible things that we're going to do, things that we can do for the long haul. Because remember, we're not in the business of doing things just today or tomorrow. We're in the business of doing things over the long haul. And the whole idea of Move is that this is a lifestyle. This is a decision that we're making, that we're incorporating all of these things that we're going to be talking about into our lives over the long haul. one of the things, I was out with my son yesterday and dropped him off at a restaurant. They were having a birthday party, and we may show some of that clip because we actually started walking and we were doing one of our episodes, but it turned out that there was a lot of music and a lot of noise in the area, so it didn't quite go the way we thought. But one of my points there was that the things we do, just as we talked about in our previous series, the things that we do can't be special. Oh, let me say that again. I want to make this point. The things that we're doing for our health are not special occasion things. They're not things that we do on special occasions. It's kind of like when I'm fasting. I remember the fasting to me was a big deal, and preparing for the fast was a big deal, and the ending the fast in terms of what I was eating was a big deal. But what I had to realize was the fasting was just part of the rhythm. It was just what we do every day. And so it doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be over the top. It simply has to be something that's taking me in the direction that I want to go, and something that is sustainable. So that's 2. And then number 3 is you got to keep the strides. Oh man. Have you ever seen a runner in a race? Maybe a marathon, maybe, and I've watched them before, and you can tell there's some runners they start at the starting block and they take off going, and they're like down the road and they're around the track and boom, 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 boom. And then there's someone else and they're just pacing themselves, right? And they're just taking one step in front of the other, in front of the other. They've got their stride and they just keep in that stride. And boom, 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 boom. Because they understand that it is not the quick start that gets it. They understand that it is the continual, small, sometimes insignificant steps that take us there. I have to admit that this one is hard for me. Particularly when you see other people on the track, when you see other people on the road, other people in the race, and they are like passing you, right? They're lapping you, boom, 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 and they're going, and you're there and you're plodding along, and you're plodding along. I remember a story though, and the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? And they started off, and the tortoise started going slow, one step after the other, after the other, after the other, and the hare just took off. I used to watch a lot of cartoons, so there are a couple of episodes of this in different cartoons that come to my mind right now. But the hare is just taking off. And all of the busyness and all of the distractions, all the things that are going on, sometimes takes its toll. But the tortoise is just there, just plodding along, one thing after the other. Slow, simple, consistent steps. And at the end, getting across the line is not about the quick start. It's not about the busyness, but getting across the finish line is about the continual process of putting one step in front of the other, of putting one decision in front of the other, one consistent measure in front of the other, one consistent time in front of the other. Now I am, as I'm talking, I'm coming up, I'm right here, by the way, at one of our, there's some exercise places, there's a Top Golf off, and right in front of me is a rock wall. And you'll remember in one of our episodes, we were over here. And I remember standing here and watching and seeing people try to climb the wall. And I'll see people like start off, they're going up. And I remember there There was one gal that was going up, and nobody thought that she was going to make it, actually. I have to be honest. I did not think she was going to make it all the way up there. But she carefully took her time, and she grabbed here, and she moved her foot over there, and she reached over here, and she stretched over to this side, and she pulled herself up. And gradually, she made it to the top. And there were a lot of people who started out strong. A lot of people who were quick at the bottom. And they didn't make it to the top because they did not keep that momentum going. Or even maybe they exerted a lot of energy at the beginning, but couldn't sustain it down to the end. And I want you to understand that as we continue our trek through health, as we continue our trek to improve our metabolism, understanding why you're doing this, asking that question, what is the problem that we're solving? I've shared with you some of my health history, shared with you some of the things that go on with me, and the reason that I'm on this path, and the reason that I do what I do is in part because I'm on this path. And so you get to come along with me as we journey together in improving our health. So understanding why you're doing this. Number 2 is to take those steps that are sustainable, small steps, not big, brash, over the top, soap opera-ish steps, but steps that you are able to continue doing sustainably. And then understanding that it is those in-between times when you're just simply putting one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, that builds momentum. And so the motivation, the quick start, all of that is great, but it is the momentum that ultimately takes us through where we want to be, and ultimately takes us into the success that we're looking for. So as you're on this path with me, as you're on this path of optimization and improving your metabolism, maybe you have been told that your blood sugars are rising. Maybe you've been told that you have fatty liver. Maybe you've looked on the scale and the scale says that your weight is way more than you think it should be. Maybe your doctor has said to you that, hey, if we don't do something quickly, if we don't do something right now, then we're having more and more complications. Whatever it is, as you're on this path, I want you to understand that it is the momentum that takes you there. And if you are consistent, if you are able to identify your why, if you're able to put those things in place, those steps, gradually that gets us there. And if you're able to just put one step in front of the other and to be consistent, then that momentum that you've built will be what takes you across the finish line. It'll be what takes you up. There's my wall, right? It'll be what takes you up the wall, and hey, be the thing that takes you across where you need to go. So I thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on this journey, and you are able to be successful, because Limitless Living says that we are not allowing anything from outside, anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best self, our best health, our best plans. We are not allowing anything to constrain us. None of the obstacles, none of the things that conspire to keep us in. We're breaking through those, and we're showing up with our best self, our best health, and our best plans. We'll see you on our next episode. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for being a part of Move Today. Remember, transformation isn't built in hype. It's built in consistent steps. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Keep showing up, keep stacking your wins, and keep moving forward with us. This is Move.